All right, this is kind of a review. It's lesson 1. It's over surface area. It's over the 2 shapes that we've already done. First one is just going to be a rectangular prism. Second one will be a cylinder. The big thing to remember with surface area is you want to remember that it's not filling up the object, but it's actually laying out the object and like you were going to paint the entire outside. So with the rectangular prism, the 3D shape here, what you have to remember is you end up laying it out and it folds out like this. Also, what you do have is you're going to have 3 different measurements. So you have a 2, a 4, and a 6. I put centimeters just so we had something to go with. So when we start to break this up, recognize that you have 2 of the blue shapes, 2 of the pinkish shapes, and 2 of the black shapes. So essentially, after you do all your measurements, you're going to have to multiply everything by 2 to get the entire surface area. But what you do want to do is break everything up into different areas. So let's start with the first one. So we're going to have what I call rectangle A, which is going to be the 2 times the 4. 2 times the 4. Okay? Now you're going to have the second one, which is going to be the 2 times the 6. So I'm going to call this B. You're going to have the 2 times 6. Then you're going to have the last one, which is the black triangles, which is 6 times the 4. So this is C. 4 times 6. So this breaks up the 3 different rectangles that you actually have in all of these different shapes. So to find the surface area, 2 times 4, you're going to end up with 8. 2 times 6, you're going to end up with 12. And 4 times 6, you end up with 24. Now, there's a couple ways that you can actually get this. First way is you add these 3 up. So you have 8 plus 12, which is 20, plus 22, which equals 44. That's just one part of it. You have 44. You have to multiply it by 2, which ends up equaling 88 total. And since this is centimeters and it's area, remember area is always going to be a square unit. So you're going to have centimeters squared. The reason you multiply by 2 does go back to that every shape, there's 2 of each measurements. 2 of the blues, 2 of the pinks, 2 of those. This is just one measurement of those 3. So that's the rectangular prism. Second, which is a little bit longer of a calculation, is going to end up being your cylinder. So cylinders, obviously, when you lay it out, it's going to be broken up into 2 different circles. So that's going to end up being multiplied by 2. And you just have this longer kind of rectangular shape. Let's deal with we'll deal with the circles first. So first we got to deal with area of a circle, right? If you remember, area of a circle is going to be pi r squared. So this is area of circle. All right, so we do have a radius here. So we're going to have our pi times our radius, and that is going to be squared. Once you punch this in, if you, I did the calculation with just 3.14. You can do it with pi if you want on your calculator. This area ends up equaling 39.44. That one's pretty easy so far. Now, keep this in mind. That is just the area of one circle. You have to deal with the area of the second circle. So you're still multiplying this by 2 because you have 2 circles. So that total for all of the circles is going to end up being 78.88. All right, so area of the circles are fine. Now we have to deal with this shape. We do have at least a length, but one thing you do have to remember is to find this kind of height area, it's not actually the height, it's actually the circumference because of the way the shape looks. So now, to deal with the second area of, I'm just going to call it the rectangle. That's what that little shape means. We know it's going to be 5, and that's going to be times your circumference of your circle. So now we have to deal with making sure we're finding circumference. Circumference. So now we have circumference, which is the area, which is the perimeter of a circle, is going to be either the diameter times pi or 2 times the radius times pi. What we do have is the radius. So let's find circumference real quick. Circumference is going to equal 2 times 2 times, I'm just going to put pi, and I'm using 3.14 as pi. 2 times 2 is 4. This actually equals, circumference is going to equal 12.56. Now we can substitute this circumference that we have here into our actual equation. So instead of it just being 5 times the circumference, now we have 5 times 12.56. That equals 62.8. Yeah, and as you're going through and doing these calculations, I'm doing all this on a calculator, so I definitely recommend, especially with this kind of stuff, doing that first. All right, so here you have the area of the circle. Here you have, here you have the area of the rectangle. Here you have the area, the two areas of the circle. All that's left for your total surface area is going to be add the two up together. We got plus. So the total surface area is actually going to end up equaling 141.68, and I have it in inches. This is inches squared. That is your total there. So those are your two shapes, the rectangular prism and the cylinder for now. This is just lesson 1, which is just a review. Thank you.